Hey, I'm Aaron. I'm one of the founders of Deliver That.
I'm John, other co-founder of Deliver That. Welcome to the Founder Series.
Founders for life. Have you always been a marketer?
My entire adult life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you like creative by nature? Like, did you have like, is there a background in school for marketing?
Yeah, so I was an English major in school. I thought I was going to write the great American novel, right?
Okay.
And obviously didn't work out yet, but an instructor told me my senior year that advertising agencies were hiring English majors as writers. And so back then, and not to age myself, but I was looking through the help wanted ads and I found an ad for a copywriter and I applied and I got the job. And I learned very quickly that I loved the work and I was quite good at it. So I just let it ride.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. And where are you from?
Cleveland,
Okay.
mostly.
Okay. Mostly.
Yes.
Okay. And live in Cleveland right now?
Yes.
And okay, so when did you start your business? Because you've had a couple businesses, you were in corporate to start. What was the whole process?
So I've been in marketing 27 years now.
Okay.
In the first half of my career, I had the good fortune of working within a bigger agency environment.
Okay.
And so in that environment, I learned the rules.
Mhm.
I think there are best practices, not just in the craft of writing, but in how to operate an agency.
Sure.
And so I had visibility to that. And then I started working for smaller and smaller businesses as I grew up and started to understand where my interests were
Okay.
and my motivation lied.
Mhm.
And then I eventually got to the point where I had been making a lot of agencies a lot of money.
Yep.
I'm a highly billable employee.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I just thought, I could be doing this for myself and making my own money.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I made the leap, and it also coincided with my lifestyle at the time. I had 2 young children at home. So
Mhm. How was that like?
Wait, hold on. 27 years?
yeah.
I don't know how to say this, but like, you don't look over 35 or 40. I mean,
Thank you.
I swear. Me and John and I are 30. Holy crap.
I've lived a
27
good
years.
life. Yeah.
Wow. Is there like a specific genre of writing that you like, or like are there different types of like, novels or stuff that you liked reading or writing?
Yeah, well, right now I'm working on nonfiction. I am writing a book on the side. I've
Amazing.
decided like it's time. It's been like I'm feeling the pressure inside of me, and I got to do something about it. But personally, I like fiction. I read a lot of romance novels, which is sort of
That's not my forte.
English majors aren't supposed to read romance novels, but it's good for escape. And but from a professional standpoint, I do believe that there are two different genres of writing, and one is sort of the writing to sell. So copywriters write to sell. We write headlines and calls to action, and the goal is to earn the audience's attention enough to get a conversion,
Sure.
right? And there's a certain technique associated with that. And then on the other side of that is writing to tell. So writing stories that demonstrate the claims that are being made in the brand messaging. So that's more of a journalistic style of writing. And as content marketing kind of came online with these like publishing platforms, and if you have a keyboard, you're a writer nowadays, but like self-publishing, I think a lot of folks really oriented to that long form writing. Whereas somebody who grew up as a copywriter, I have a real hard time with writing articles. I'm not geared toward it. And so in my own firm, I really have different mentorship programs for each of those genres of writing. I think that's really important. And it's super important for businesses to understand that too, because it's very rare to get a hybrid writer. So you really want to hire someone to either sell or tell as it relates to your messaging.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. I haven't even gone down that road of thinking about those differences.
I have trouble writing an email.
Yeah.
To be honest.
There's AI for that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so like, yeah, I mean, I'm just, you know, for me, I always tell the guys over here, it's like, stop taking the writing on your own. You know, it's like, you guys aren't writers, like use the, you know, the AI, you know, ChatGPT. Like, what is your opinion right now on this emergence of machine learning over the last few years? And, you know, has it impacted, whether positively or negatively, probably maybe both ways, like your line of work?
You know, I think it's easy to get your hackles up about it because I have worked so hard and so long to be good at the craft of writing.
Mm.
And yet here comes a robot swooping in and, you know, doing
Mhm.
doing a good job, not a great job. But what I've come to find is that you just have to embrace it. And so last year I decided to designate an AI committee inside the business to evaluate all these different platforms that were coming on,
Love it.
because there's different platforms for different purposes.
Of course.
And so we wanted to make sure we were integrating the right AI at the right time in the process. And as a result, we have all new protocols
Wow.
that involve up to 5 different platforms in one project. And that's not to say that humans aren't the most important part of that equation, but for us, it's created not just efficiency, but it's created a more robust output.
I'm sure.
And it's such an exciting time to be a marketer because
Yeah.
of these changes.
Yeah, and you have help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like having a whole army of interns
Yeah.
for research and
I
first
like that.
drafts and yeah.
Ben's, so our CTO says the
Yeah.
exact same thing about software development. It's like, you're not going to obviously give a critical project to a machine learning model.
Yep.
Right? Maybe
Mhm.
not yet.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually
Yeah.
you will.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
it's like they can get you started. They can stand up an application for
Yep.
you.
He also
They can
said
write
it's
a-
nice to check.
Yeah,
It'll
it's like-
check
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
what you did.
You know, and
Mhm.
like, or getting, you know, the opinion of the AI on like your style of writing and like, hey, I'm trying to go appeal to this audience.
Mm-hmm.
That's helped me, you know, you know, the non-writer in the room, I would say. It's like that. It's just ChatGPT, machine learning has changed my life when it comes to like writing.
Because sometimes it's just tough
Yeah.
to get it off the ground. That 0 to 1. You want to get to
Exactly.
10, but the 0 to 1 is.
Now, it's not
It's
something
kinda-
that I found. It's like, it's not super creative.
Yep.
It's like, you know, we still outsource a lot of our work for like press releases and case studies to an
Mm-hmm.
agency. But I mean, like, talk about writing emails, or like, you know, I might come out of a stressful client call and figure I got to wrap this up and send a response email.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't want to come off as an asshole, but, you know, I want to get my point across too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it
Yeah.
helps take the emotion out of my writing entirely. And I can just tell the AI, hey, I want it to be this tone, or
Yeah.
It,
Yeah,
it
or
is a
you'll-
great filter.
Yeah. You'll write yours, and we're like, all right. I
Yeah,
don't think
take
we
it
should
easy
send
here.
that. Let's send it through the.
Yeah.
what are you on your
ChatGPT.
10th cup of coffee today?
Yeah,
Like, my
exactly.
goodness.
Yeah,
I've definitely found it's only as good as the user,
that's right.
right? So
Yeah.
if you don't know how to work with it,
Yeah.
it definitely will be an intern
Yeah,
back to you.
exactly.
That's for
Especially
sure.
your company's embracing it.
Yeah.
You're already such an advantage right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think every it's time. I mean, slow adopters will ultimately become no adopters, and that is not a good position to be in today's climate. I mean, you really have to use what's available to you, and you know, we couldn't be more excited about it.
Yeah. Especially
So,
if the competition's using it, why would you not use
yeah.
it?
Oh,
Yeah.
totally.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, that was a great icebreaker, man. You know, we're thankful you're coming down from Cleveland today. That's about an hour drive down here. Thank you for taking your time out of your day to come and have a discussion with us. We love showcasing great founders, great entrepreneurs in the Northeast Ohio area.
Mhm.
John and I are, you know, at least I'm born and raised here. John is
I
not
was
born here.
raised.
He was raised here.
Yeah. What do you call yourself?
An
Northeast
Northeast
Ohio?
Ohio thoroughbred. You know, I've only ever lived here, but no, it's you know, would love to get into, Jackie, I guess your current company right now, and then maybe get into like, again, a little bit more of your background. You know, did you go to like, so John, I went to OU and somehow graduated. I don't know how, but did you go to school around here? Like what is your background?
Yeah, so I like to say I'm from Ohio generally. I've lived in Southern Ohio and Northern Ohio. And then my husband and I, in our 20s, we moved down to Charleston, South Carolina for a while.
Hmm.
So I think you call that a boomeranger.
The boomer.
Yeah,
Bring him right back.
yeah,
I did a short stint in LA.
yeah.
It was short. It was a very short
Not a
stint.
boomer, a
Yeah.
boomeranger. I like
Boomeranger.
that. Man.
Yeah. Because and you get perspective when you leave, and I think that's important.
Yeah.
But ultimately our family is rooted here, and this is a Northeast Ohio is just such a fantastic place to raise a family and be an entrepreneur because the quality of life is just so affordable and the risk is lower. So I'm part of an agency owners mastermind group, and we have 12 owners from all over the country, and they are continually shocked at like how much I pay in rent and what my salary
Sure.
bands are, and
Yep.
like they are like, what? And so for me, it made it not easy, but easier to say yes and make that leap into entrepreneurship because I knew not only did I have family and network around me, but the cost of living was just so great. So
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more to that. I think that's why I moved back to Jackson Township. It's even cheaper down here than Cleveland,
Yep.
yeah.
which is great. So
Very,
you're,
very little potholes
you've a
down here.
don't get me started on
No
potholes
city
right
tax
now. I
either.
can't get don't get me started about Cleveland potholes. I popped my 8th tire
Did you really?
2 weeks ago leaving his house.
I think
8th tire in 2 months.
might be
2 years.
little user
Oh, yeah, I mean, definitely a terrible driver. But when you're driving through,
Tires.
like literally roads that are just completely destroyed, it's only in certain spots, not everywhere.
I mean,
It's like the downtown area. It's like where I used to live over by Jacob Heights. It's just, but anyways, so you got a background in English, journalism a little bit. Walk us through, I guess, when you get done with that. Where did you professionally? When did you start in the marketing area?
Yeah, I started right after college, and I just jumped in with both feet, and I haven't looked back since. And I worked so the ladder to climb in the creative field of advertising is sort of, and writers and designers fall into this, and then you've got your account side, strategy side over here. So it's like I went copywriter, junior copywriter, senior copywriter, associate creative director. And you hit a fork in the road in that where it's like, do I want to go into management or do I just want to be a master technician? And I think a lot of creatives get into that. And what I found was I really sucked at management. Like, don't underestimate
oh yeah,
how much goes into management.
we've
And
made
especially,
that mistake ourselves.
oh, yeah. Nobody told
Promoting.
me.
I call it promoting into oblivion because you don't know where you're going after that. It's just,
Right.
It's every time.
So, like,
Yeah.
talk about some of so, like, how did you realize? Because I'm in the same boat, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
you guys, someone in the office, like, I'm not meant to manage people either. I'm like a big
Yeah.
visionary, big picture type of individual.
God, then ask him about me.
Yeah.
He's even worse. You want something not get finished?
Two
you give it to that guy.
visionaries.
All right.
Oh, man.
No, yeah. But is there so you said that obviously that there's times that you realize you weren't good at managing. Like, what are some of the things that you can think of off the top of your head? Like, were there examples or like that you struggle to communicate? That was my biggest problem. So I can't communicate effectively to certain individuals.
Yeah, or the way they
My
need
style of communicate. It just doesn't. It's not conducive.
it. Yeah, not to everyone. Mm-hmm.
I know that feeling.
So-
Yeah.
I'm a very direct person.
Well, I think that this really speaks to the importance of having awareness around your personality style. And I've done a lot of personal growth work in that I understand who I am and how I communicate. And that is the first step to adapting your communication style. If you don't understand and have awareness around that, like I'm a driver, I'm an 8 on the Enneagram, I'm an INTJ, I'm a high D, high I on DISC. I didn't know this till my 30s. And I wish I would have known sooner because I was constantly criticized in my performance reviews for being too direct. Whereas in the right environment, that really can be beneficial and valuable to a company.
Yep.
So,
Without a doubt, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Without a
yeah.
doubt.
Yeah. So
And culture index.
I'm a daredevil.
Yep.
I'm a
yeah.
daredevil.
I
Yep.
think us three
Yeah.
sit in the same category.
Oh, yeah.
All different types of visionaries.
Yeah.
Trailblazer,
Ooh,
philo-
trailblazer.
yeah, philosopher,
Philosopher.
Yep.
and
Yeah.
then daredevil. I
Yeah.
wish I was a daredevil.
Yeah. My husband's a daredevil too. And
Wow.
it's quite a,
My wife is a
yeah.
she works in clinical radiology, very specific work.
Yeah.
She's educated beyond belief,
Yeah.
and I think her was either a technical expert or a specialist.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So, like, knowing that about yourself and coming into the workforce, I think that should be taught in college.
Absolutely.
And so these young people are coming in and they have more direction about right seat because otherwise you're counting on the employer to identify right seat.
Yep.
And so that was a big part of why I became an entrepreneur because I knew that because of my personality style, I had the wherewithal to take on some of the conflict and resilience and all of the things that come along with an entrepreneurial lifestyle. Um, I was willing to do that because I knew. Had I not known, I'd probably still be working inside an agency environment.
Wow.
And also, like, trying to get out of management.
Because you
and
feel like you're failing.
You feel like you're failing
'Cause,
because
like,
you're
you have to
speaking
be a
directly
manager.
to people
Yeah.
and they're not taking what they're getting offended or like, and especially with creatives, you have to be
I
very
see Ben laughing back there.
soft.
He knows exactly.
Yeah.
And it impacts performance in a huge way. And so I was very, very careful in my hiring practices because I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea. And then eventually, as I grew my business, I was able to hire a management sort of layer to the business where I can truly be a visionary and not have to worry about performance and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Jackie, I think you and I
Yeah.
share
It's
a
wild.
lot of the same
Yeah.
professional, epiphanies at the same time. It's like
Yeah.
I the same exact thing. I would communicate, and not knowing the individual I'm talking to, by the way, I'd be very direct, and like they might not respond well to being, talked to direct. So
Right.
And you just wouldn't understand it. Like,
and I don't know what I'm
I don't
doing
know how to do
wrong.
it.
Like I'm just saying things, and
Yeah.
like, it's just offending people. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to be an asshole or anything, but
Yeah.
well, yeah. So, okay, so you're daredevil. We're all visionaries here, which
Yeah.
makes sense why we are entrepreneurs.
Yep.
Yeah.
We were built for this. We're wired for it.
Exactly.
You have a little bit different of a path than me and John, though. Me and John, we never had a corporate job. We started this company when we were 19,
Yeah.
out of our dorm room at Ohio University. So I never had the luxury, or I would say luxury, the chance to work in corporate America or in a big company. I mean, the only jobs I ever had, really, I worked at Subway when I was in high school for like 6 months. I was a
Okay.
terrible employee. Gave all my friends free stuff. It's like I was the typical high school kid everyone hated.
Yeah.
That worked there. Did that. We did. We would
We did some contract work.
some contract work. We
Sold
would like
roofs.
Yeah, sold roofs. Like travel. This nothing like what you did.
Yep.
Can you is there a moment in time that you can recall that wow, I was made to be an entrepreneur. I was made to do my own thing. Like, is there that fork in the road you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it that, or I'm just so done with this?
And I'll tell you
Right.
this. I think for me and John, that fork in the road really hit when I think John tells a story, at least for him. We were at Ohio University, just at the recreational facility, like playing basketball. And like while we were playing pickup basketball games, we made a bunch of money. Like people were doing deliveries for us, our drivers were. And we were like, holy crap, we didn't do anything.
Yep.
Played basketball and we were getting paid to do it.
Yep.
I think that was when we were made. We were made for being entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what's so interesting about that is that you had an idea and you somehow filled a gap that wasn't being served in the market, and then you were able to build and refine over time, and in doing so created a business around the idea, right? I think that there's different types of entrepreneurs, and that certain entrepreneurs are just simply interested in the craft of business. And they could sell anything. They could sell nuts and bolts. I actually know a guy who does very well selling nuts and
Look at
bolts.
you, John. Awesome.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's like more of a game.
I've
than
never thought of
anything.
it. I've never thought of it like that because everything this guy
Yeah.
touches is gold, pretty much. He can make money doing anything. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like that might be the what I've been trying to describe to you, John.
Yeah.
It's like you're just
It's just like the game of business.
Yeah.
The game of business.
It's just fun.
And you like to play it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think other entrepreneurs are more about building a business around their own craft and their own talent.
For sure.
It's a different type of entrepreneur, and it's a different type of journey.
Yep.
And it has different challenges associated with it. So like, for example, I have a very hard time letting go of the work. Whereas like a business entrepreneur is all about like putting the processes and operations in place to make the work without them.
Yep.
And so I don't know that a lot of entrepreneurs get into it realizing that, but I do think that there's different mentorship paths for those different types of entrepreneurs for
Absolutely.
sure.
I mean, it's completely different. So yeah,
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
and obviously having this network in NEO, like of founders and entrepreneurs that we just didn't really know about. I mean, this would have been so beneficial for us coming out of college. I mean, you know, all of our friends are getting corporate jobs in New York City and Chicago, and they're all making good money. And I'm sitting in my dad's basement, twiddling my thumbs, thinking how to get my delivery business off the ground.
Our W-2 is Ruby Tuesday driver. We take 2 deliveries a day if we're lucky.
Yeah, you know, I take that back. I was employed by Ruby Tuesday for about 6, 8 months, maybe, just taking deliveries. I was out, out of college.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
then we quit.
John,
we quit one day.
John and I have an interesting professional, I guess, timeline, but the resiliency is there. I always knew this was going to work. I didn't know it was going to be this big, but I always knew I'd make it. Doing this if I just kept at it. Yeah. But yeah, back to like I guess I got a sidetracked here. Back to my question. Was there like an epiphany or a moment where you're like, I'm making this agency too much money, or I'm bringing too much value. Like I want to do this myself.
No, I got fired.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
There's there's 2 unhireable.
It was obligatory.
There's 2 unhireable culture index profiles, right? Is it Is it Daredevil and Philosopher? That makes sense. There you go.
I would never ever hire John ever as an employee in my life.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, no, I was working for a small agency at the time, and I had a high level conflict with the owner. And so I didn't back down, and I've always been pretty good at picking my battles, but I didn't back down in that case, and they just decided
good for you, honestly.
I wasn't right for the agency. But in retrospect, you always look at these things as opportunities. And again, I was at that point, it really was a great job. I was a creative director. I was flying back and forth to New York City. I was working with fashion brands. I mean, it was awesome. I went to South by Southwest, and
that's like what you think of as a marketer.
Yeah,
like
totally. The glamour, the glitz, it was all great. But at the same time, I wasn't focused on my family. And family is top of my values and always has been. And so I decided to become a word that I really don't care for, but a mompreneur at the time.
I've never heard that before.
Yep, neither have I.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of women entrepreneurs kind of fall into that category. Where I have a problem with it is that it can seem limiting. Because what happens when your kids grow up, like that, now what happens? Or when you're a mompreneur, you're almost like limited in your revenue because you're sharing your time with your family.
Yeah, you can only do so much.
You can only do so much. And I selected to be a mompreneur for a couple years, and I had a very, very small thing going out of the house, but I wanted more, and so I made sure, like, okay, I'm not going to work and watch my kids at the same time. I'm going to have, a nanny, a full-time nanny, and now I'm obligated to afford that. So now I have to go out and hustle and get that money, and then, sort of grow from there. But I don't think it was a fork in the road as much as it was an obligation, but then also it just really fit what I needed and what my family needed in that moment.
Interesting.
I honestly struggle with this myself. I have a 1-year-old. Well, he'll be 1.5.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
you're busy.
Oh man. And
he's
honestly,
awesome.
Yeah, he's the best, man. I mean, Rowan, he's a bowling ball brute force.
He's a beast already.
Yeah, he can I don't know any 1.5-year-olds that can like sprint. And he just goes, man. He's unstoppable.
The only fast one in the family. Only fast Hoffman.
We're
Those
short,
don't exist.
stocky in stature, but that kid can run. I don't know where he got it from, but
man, and they're fast, aren't they? Like you just never sit down.
Oh yeah. I mean, last time my wife was like, "Can you just watch him?" Then I'm like, "Sure," and I just like why did I offer to do this after a full day? But I struggle with the same thing where it's like, man, you know, I've been blessed so much by this business and people that have been around here. Like, you know, should I take time with my family and to be like a dadtrepreneur, right? You know, and I think I'm doing that right now. I would honestly say that's exactly the role that I'm.
Great.
And I love it, by the way.
I think it's a privilege.
It is.
honestly.
It's like,
yeah.
I feel almost obligated to do it because, you know, I know both of my parents, well, you know, all three of my parents, I've got a, you know, stepdad, and if they were all had the same opportunity, they all would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, but I think John, even your mom, she was a momtrepreneur.
Yep.
You know, world-renowned sewing business.
Yep. Yeah, she did embroidery and
Yeah.
ended up, she would teach classes for people who made these sewing machines like Brother and HP, and these sewing machines are like $20,000. So no one's going to, most of the people who are buying them are like 60-year-old women that had their husbands have a lot of money. So they're like, well, if you don't know how to work this thing, you're not going to buy it. So they'd host these big classes.
Yeah.
And she taught in every state. We went on cruises for it. It was
Published like author.
yeah, she wrote 2 books and
True subject matter expert.
Yep.
Yeah. The thought leadership around that nowadays. Could you imagine like
I know,
there would
it's
be
amazing.
there would be a blog,
Yep.
there would be
because she did it with her sister.
Yeah.
She had 5 sisters. She did it with one of them.
What did they call her?
They were the Stitching Sisters. Yeah. They went around the country and taught, and it's crazy.
So
Shout
I
out
saw
Marie.
that.
Yeah,
like my
and I'm
whole
curious,
basement
like-
was embroidery. There's thread everywhere.
like what did you take away from being raised by an entrepreneur?
I didn't realize until
Interesting.
college, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Where do I get this from?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I just thought it was normal.
Right.
I don't know why, but
Right.
there'd be clients are dropping stuff off at the house, and she's embroidering jerseys and all this, and yeah, looking back now, everything makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And then when I was born, my dad had pretzel stores in Philadelphia, and hated them because
Pretzels.
yeah, so like soft pretzels, like it
Interesting.
wasn't Annie Ann's, it was Pretzels Plus, I think. Yeah, so that was like right out of the gate.
Could have been the brand.
Yeah.
Could
Couldn't have been the brand there.
But food entrepreneurship, here you go.
Yep.
So
All right,
cool.
Jackie. So, you know, you get a taste of corporate life, you know, agency life. You know, you're flying around. You got a nice career, you know, nice job. You know, stood your ground. I respect that. I really
that's
do
awesome.
respect that. I have countless stories I could tell you off the camera on some of the exact same scenarios I've gone through, and I don't back down either.
Yeah.
And you know, you start your momtrepreneur journey. You know, you take the next step, and think, okay, I'm going full time now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what can you walk us through? Like, was it Muse then? Was it a different company?
It was called Muse Content Group.
Muse. In what were you like? What were you guys specializing in? Everything under the sun. What you know? What exactly? What problem were you looking to solve?
So at the time, I saw an opportunity to really leverage the content marketing trend that was sweeping through marketing.
And when is this?
Yeah.
This was 13 years ago.
Okay.
So Content Marketing Institute was relatively new, and all of these new blog platforms were coming. WordPress was kind of coming online. And
Sure.
so, and SEO was starting to reward brands for publishing content. So I thought, you know, not only could I consult in this, but I could also have a pool of writers, freelance writers that I didn't have to keep on payroll to serve the story needs of brands. So we were basically a tactical shop that like we had the overflow of like if you had a blog. Do you guys have a blog here? Do you have like a resource section on your
know we-
site?
Nate, do we have
Yeah.
a blog you still?
We haven't in a couple months.
Yeah.
See, this is the problem. You hear this all the time. Like consistency is the key with this. So if your internal resources get busy, it's the first thing that falls off the back burner.
Sure.
And so we were able to take that on for them. And I was able to build a really nice little business. But what was happening was I was charging agency rates. And at the same time, there was like Fiverr was coming online. And so like these like, I called them content farms.
Yeah.
Like these freelancers would undercut our pricing in such a way, and the market became saturated. And so I got to a point, I was in 10,000 Small Business Program, and I I was going through that program and just watching my revenue come down.
Wow.
And the goal of that program is you have to build a growth plan at the end. Have you guys been through it?
No.
Okay.
And that's what you did with Brian.
Yeah, Brian.
Yeah.
I was in it with Brian.
Yep.
And so halfway through, I got an offer for an acquisition, and I transitioned my growth plan into an exit plan. And my presentation at the end was my acquisition. And then I was acquired, and my little business, we picked it up and plopped it right inside a larger agency. And we began producing for that agency.
And did you sell because it was a good number, or because you were like, I don't know if I really want to solve this problem of potentially reinventing the business?
To be honest, I think I had some fear around taking on debt. And also I had some fear around how quickly the industry was changing, and I wasn't able to keep up with it.
Yeah.
So I thought if I move into a bigger agency, that safeguards me from some of that risk. And also, it was a great opportunity. The agency had this very large client that needed content marketing immediately.
Oh, okay.
And so I was able to come in and produce and do so at a very high level with very large budgets. And it was super fun. I got to fly all around the world and also just run my own show. The owner was really great at allowing me the space to be independent inside his firm.
Sure.
So
How much
Impressive.
different was that experience versus the bozo that let you go?
well,
Sorry for my directness here.
I do think, never apologize for directness. I do think that, especially in smaller agency environment, it's a special kind of entrepreneur that relinquishes control at certain points. And I've always worked on that. But
It's hard.
it's very hard.
So hard.
You kind of like release the reins and trust, and then you got to pull it back a little, and then there's this constant like give and take.
Yep.
Whereas, so in that environment that I was terminated, there was a very strong hold on what that environment through the ownership, and it made me very uncomfortable, create a lot of tension, obviously.
Yeah, and just for our audience too, the type of personality us three are is we are autonomous people.
Right.
So like we don't.
You
the reason why
don't
we're
really
entrepreneurs
want
is because-
direction.
yeah, it's like
Yeah,
so
we don't
we're-
want direction.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like so we need to be we need a green field to go run just run through. So
Yeah.
I can only imagine how stressful that was for you.
Yeah, it was stressful, but the work was so great. I tolerated it until nobody did. But the new environment, that owner was just real trusting, and he actually asked me to become a partner, and I turned it down because that was not why I got acquired, to be an owner again. But he still needed a partner, so he brought in another partner, and she was not as trusting. And I almost felt like I was in that environment for 18 months. I felt like at first I moved into an apartment on the beach, and I had this beautiful view. And then once this other partner took control, I felt as though somebody came in and built a high rise in front of my view. And I couldn't do anything about it because I didn't own it. And I didn't have any say.
Yep.
And she just had a different value set and a different direction for the business. There was it wasn't bad or worse than what I was doing. It was just different. And that's another fork in the road, that you really have to assess your values and your own self-worth. This partner wanted to devalue my department in a way and move it from strategic to tactical. I wasn't on board with that, and I also didn't jive with her own values. So I knew that I had to leave after that.
Yeah, I mean, I use this phrase. It's a very common phrase. It's like you have noise and you have signal, and like an entrepreneur knows signal from noise very clearly.
Yeah,
And
I love that.
And I think again, your inner entrepreneur, your entrepreneur or entrepreneur, right, is telling you like this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
Writings on the wall.
Yep.
Like,
Writings on the
this
wall.
isn't noise.
Yep.
This is a signal.
And how long were you there?
18 months.
18 months.
Yeah.
When did she come in?
About a year in. Yeah.
Yeah, 6 months.
So this would have been
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
You'd have been, this would have been like mid 2010s, 2015, 2016.
It was
maybe?
like 7 years ago-ish.
Okay. It's like 2018.
Yeah.
2018.
Yep.
Yeah, around then.
This is all pre-COVID still.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Right?
pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID. So
Market's hot. Everything's great.
market's high. Everything's going up. Everything's going
Keep
up.
printing.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, you knew it's time to leave. Is there like another, hey, I'm going to start another venture, or is it you take time off? Like,
Oh my gosh. I was like, that was not a termination. That was a mutual agreement for me to leave. And in that agreement, I negotiated the rights to my business back so I could still use Muse. Not that it had a lot of equity, but I liked it. And then I spent the summer just sort of in this limbo, like, what am I doing? What do I want to do? And I worked with a career coach, and I ended up getting this amazing opportunity come my way through the Entrepreneurs Organization of all organizations. And my husband's an EO, so they knew of me, and they sort of knew that I was kind of like, a fish out of water, just kind of like, in limbo. And they said, look, we need content. We need you to go interview our members on camera, very similar to this. And we need you to fly around the country and go to our members' meetings and do that. And we're going to pay you X for that. And I was like, okay, I have nothing better to do. And I leveraged my connections, and I got a crew together, and we did all this work, and it was beautiful. But through that experience, and you interview entrepreneurs, so it's really inspiring.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, I started to realize if these folks can do this and they can generate so much, not just wealth, but like meaning and fulfillment out of this, I know I can do it too. So I decided to really go for it the second time around. And I started from zero, and now our revenue as of last year was 4 times that of Muse. I call it Muse Part 1 before the acquisition.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
we'll get into part 2 of Muse here in a second, like, what you're really looking to accomplish there, and I guess the value you're creating. That's the way I look at like these businesses that I'm involved in. It's like, I know that if I can come in there in any way, whether it's deliver that or a different company me and John are involved in, and if I can find a way how to create value, like you'll get the wealth, the monetary element, it'll come in.
Yep.
That's
what we always said in the
that's a
beginning of
byproduct.
this.
Yeah. Right. Totally.
Because like when we first started doing deliver that, it's like so obsessed with making money. And it's
Yeah.
like I was looking back on it, it was a motivating factor, but it's not why I did this.
It was more out of a lack.
Yeah, it's
Like,
like,
buddies
Yeah.
are making $100,000, and we are literally making $100 a week. It's like,
Yeah.
there's just a lack. That's
Yeah.
all it was.
Yeah.
but yeah, so like when we were coming out of Ohio University, even coming here to Jackson, I remember just getting made fun of,
Oh,
and ridiculed left and right. I mean, even by my own family, not all, not everyone. They were just, just,
Everyone
just messing around.
talks.
But it's like there's definitely some deep rooted things, and I'm sure you've dealt with this too, being an entrepreneur. People are like, why do you just do all this? Why do you work this hard? And like, why don't you go get a job? And it's like, I'm just not meant to do that. But looking back, John, I was so lucky to have someone like John, because like he was going through it with me. When we had bad, it was a bad day. It's like we had a bad day together.
Yeah.
Like when there were good days, we had good days together. Obviously, our parents supported us, but like I felt like it was him and John and myself versus everyone else, and we didn't have this. We didn't know this network existed in this area. So
I also felt like we didn't have any value to give a network,
yeah, like I couldn't relate.
right?
Yeah.
We haven't done anything yet. We think we're
Sure.
going to do
Couldn't
it.
relate with my buddies that are all
Sure.
CPAs.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't.
Yeah.
Want to
Yeah.
talk tax law with you? Something.
Yeah.
It's like not happening.
Yep.
But talk to me about like how you've obviously grown and started this. Started part 1 in Cleveland, and then part 2 back in Cleveland, and like just the network in Cleveland of entrepreneurs. And you mentioned EO. We don't belong there. Or we're not part of that. But I've heard only great things.
Yeah. It keeps coming up, and I'm paying attention. It's so many
Every conversation we have
conversations.
with founders.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so I believe, and I'm sure you feel this way too, that it's very easy to feel as though you're on an island. And fortunately, you have 2 people on an island.
Yep.
That is very lucky. It's very rare to see that. and in a productive way, right?
Yeah.
But because of that, it creates this sense of isolation. It also creates this sense of like, where do I belong?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times when you work at a company, like I'm sure this company too,
Mm-hmm.
you come in with a shared set of values and you feel like you belong somewhere. This is your tribe.
Yep.
And when you're an entrepreneur, you don't get that. I missed the camaraderie, I think, of working with a team. And so EO is one option and they have an accelerator program for entrepreneurs under $1 million. And then the true membership is over $1 million in revenue. But we worked with their global team to understand, why do entrepreneurs want to join EO? They wanted to answer that question. So we were able to interview members all over the world in the membership chairs.
I like that.
And what's interesting is that global perspective really validated exactly what I just said. Like, there are 2 reasons people join EO. 2 out of like an entire like world of entrepreneurs. They either want to grow their businesses, so they want to learn because they're stuck, or they want to feel a sense of belonging.
Wow.
And so EO can offer both of those things in different ways. And so it just depends on what we worked with them on, is creating the right sales conversation and identifying that motivation up front so that they could have a very focused conversation about that.
I mean, I could only imagine if we would have been talked to by someone at EO 7-8 years ago, and that would have came up.
Yeah.
I would have done it in a second.
Because I
Yeah.
just remember asking people advice, and I was like, just,
how
or
many-
they would say, I don't know. And I'm like,
John be like,
"Jeez."
I've already gone through all my rich uncles. I don't know who else to talk to. You know,
Yeah.
that's John's thought process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Only
Yeah.
2.
There's a few, but no, it's
Yeah.
EO, like the people we are interacting with now. It's through like the lay of the land. I mean, podcasts. That's how we kind of got injected into the Cleveland founder scene, I guess. Meeting some of the the VCs in the area, going out and golfing. That's how we kind of got introduced to this network, and then you realize like, holy crap, it's like there's hundreds of us out here.
Yeah.
Totally.
Maybe thousands in
Yeah.
Cleveland or like in NEO.
People are really
Brian,
doing-
right.
Yeah.
Lives in
I-
Strongsville.
Yeah, and the EO Cleveland chapter is one of the strongest chapters in the country.
Wow.
And it's just from an engagement and volume perspective. So it just really speaks to the entrepreneurial culture here in Northeast Ohio.
Yeah.
So-
You would never know.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, we were in it, and I had no idea.
Yeah, yeah,
It's amazing.
Taking us back to part 2 now, though,
yeah.
because Cleveland's the best. It's Cleveland versus the world. It's these potholes versus
I
the.
agree.
First of all,
I'm with you.
But that's how I feel. I feel like I take tremendous pride building this company here in Northeast Ohio.
Yep.
I really do. I always do we want to move to Florida or California?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yep.
We're building it here,
Yep.
and I'm proud to build it here. But part 2, Muse. You've grown your revenues 4 times from your first stint. How did you do that?
So I made a conscious decision to focus on strategy, not tactics. Because strategy is harder to commoditize, and there's less people that do it. And like, we do it so well, why not? Plus, you enter in the relationship. When you enter in at a strategic level, you're working with a higher level person. So it tends to be, we work first with either C-suite or the entrepreneur, because that's where branding originates, right? Through that vision. And then once we move through a branding engagement, then the client says, we love you guys, what's next? And then that opens the door to more of a tactical relationship where we're on retainer, and then we're doing what we used to do, but we're doing it from a strategic perspective first,
Sure.
and then we're moving through. So it's not, and price isn't really an issue in that type of model.
Yeah,
either.
sure.
So
It's funny, the commodity.
I know a guy that says that to me all the time.
Yeah, because that's the delivery industry, right?
Yeah.
Uber and DoorDash, I don't care.
totally.
Uber Eats and DoorDash, or Uber and Lyft, I don't care. It's just whoever's coming quickest or cheapest. And we're starting to experience that, ourselves with catering delivery. We're the first on the scene, and now there's other people doing it. And
Yeah,
I don't think they do it as well, but
of course
I
not.
think
No.
everyone's copying. They copy our job ads. They copy everything.
Yeah.
So you experienced that in your first Muse Part 1, and so you just this Muse Part 2 was simply, I'm not going to play in that world
Right.
if my price is just dropping because of competition. And
Yeah. And it's very rare that we'll do a tactical engagement without a strategic start.
What?
I-
Sorry. What a brilliant
Brilliant.
pivot, by the way.
Yep,
Seriously.
Thank you.
agreed.
Because you, like you just said, you don't. Okay, this is very. It's obviously John and I know a little bit. I don't know how much you know about Culture Index, Jackie, but the visionary bucket, and not a lot of people sit in this bucket. And like we are wired for strategy, like our brains are. We just naturally think we're forward thinkers. We live at 50,000 feet up in the air, and we're not the best executors at times. I mean, we can, but we're not the best. We need to be sinking our teeth in big problems and strategy. So, I mean, no wonder why you're able to 4 times your business because you're doing what's coming natural to you. And by doing the strategy, you're getting to learn more about the business probably and actually understanding the real holes rather than a client coming to you saying, hey, I need a website. Well, it's like, why do you need a website?
Right.
What is the vision of this business and why you need a website refresh?
Yeah.
So I think that's an absolute brilliant pivot.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
And the market speaks. And then they
Yeah,
pay,
and
and it works.
I think what you said, though, is also important because there is an element of I'm built for this. This is like, I've been working my career to get to this point, right? And one of my favorite quotes is a Brene Brown quote, and it's, you either walk inside your story and own it, or you walk outside your story and hustle for your worthiness. And I felt like I was hustling a lot. And so I had to really think about like, okay, what is my story and how do I capitalize on that?
Wow.
Right.
yeah, I mean, well said. Okay, so you know you're really attacking strategy. Is there like some favorite projects of yours in this part 2 that you're like, wow, I really enjoyed working on this project? Or
Yeah, man, I continue to go back to my EO. We don't work with EO anymore, unfortunately, but man, it was so great just to have access to all of those entrepreneurs. And it could be crazy at times, but as I'm sure you can imagine. But we were able to do some really bold and creative thinking. Like instead of like a talking head video that's like a testimonial, like, let me tell you why Deliver That is so great. Like, people don't always want to hear that.
Yeah.
It depends on where they're at in the sales cycle. They wanted member testimonials. So we created this cool concept of the truth booth. And very similar to this, we would set up and then we would invite the entrepreneur in. We would give them a shot of tequila. That's the truth serum.
Dude, now we're talking.
And it was like an interrogation set, right? So they would sit down with the light over them and they were given a set of cards and they were required to answer every single question that they turned over. And they had one plead the fifth card. They could only skip one question. And the questions were everything from,
I mean, this is a great idea. Ben.
like, what's your spirit animal to like, what is the greatest value you've gotten out of EO? And so with that footage, we were able to clip together a lot of fun and entertaining content, which also integrated the testimonials. And that's how you get people's attention, you know?
I got to ask you,
Yeah.
that was your idea?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you have a sample agreement here I can look at right now? Wow. All right. Because we just came out of a marketing meeting, a strategy content meeting, like before this. And it's like, yeah, okay. Brilliant.
Yeah, I'm of just because I grew up as a copywriter, our mantra was nobody gives a shit what you have to say. You have to earn it. You have to earn their attention.
Yep.
And I think a lot, especially entrepreneurs, they go into marketing with like the assumption that people care about their story.
Everyone's watching.
because they're passionate about it.
Yep.
And really, that's not true at all. You really have to be strategic about what you say to the right person at the right time. And that's a lot of where our communication strategy comes in, because we do help clients think more about that so they're not putting out too much information, intimidating people or boring them, and then they're risking that prospect walking away. So that's a super important part of what we do, and our clients get a lot of value out of that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Love it. I
Yeah.
love
Sure.
it. I think it might be coming. What time is it, Ben?
We're about 43
Cool. We're gonna shift
Okay.
over to the last 2 pieces here. So, part 2, it seems like it's growing faster than it ever has before. 3-5 years from now, like where do you see Muse in yourself? Are you still running your business the day-to-day of it? Are you still the strategist? Are you still, you know, are we out of the business now? Like we sold it potentially? Like where do you see your in 3 to 5 years?
I think I still have a lot of passion and excitement around the craft that I don't necessarily see myself walking away from it anytime soon. Especially now we talked about AI and how exciting that is.
It sure seems natural, just the way you talk about everything. Just seems that's who you are. I would be tough.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if that was just not part of your life anymore.
Yeah, I do have a second mountain though. Like I'm still on my first mountain, and that's tough to say. I'm coming up on 50 here soon, so I really need to like figure that out. Like there is like the financial component of that. Like an exit would certainly help that. I mean, I've got a lot of my retirement invested in my business, but from a passion standpoint, you know, there's that book I want to write. So I think what I'm trying to do now is really create the systems in operations to allow the business to run without me 70% of the time.
Okay.
But it's very hard to train strategy. And that holds us back from
I
scaling.
don't think you can. By the way,
Yeah.
I don't think you can train strategy.
Yeah.
I think it's a gift that you're born with.
Yeah.
Well, not born, but you develop it.
Yeah.
For I don't know what 10, 15 years of your life, and it's like it is clear. There's a clear differentiator to me. Someone that's a strategist and is like someone that's not. I mean,
I know. Well, we've had no success doing that. Have you had any success training people to?
So the first point to your, and I'll try to be quick about this, but like to your point, there are forest people and tree people. That's what we call them. People see the forest or they see the trees, and both people are important. The forest people, you have to identify that first of all you're a forest person, and then you have to go deep on the expertise and the experience required to get you into a strategic place. I believe that you can't walk out of an MBA and suddenly be a strategist. You actually have to like work with different environments and people and solve different problems in order to bring that all together. And that takes time. And so for me, I've tried to mentor that, you know, but you mentor someone and then they leave or they move in a different position or whatever. But I've been working on really building frameworks around our recommendations and our strategies. And those frameworks have both served as inputs into AI as well as really nice sort of support systems for my team to, you know, move forward with strategies without me.
Wow.
So that's been really helpful, just sort of these methodologies and these frameworks that we're building. So we'll see how that goes.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
but that second mountain though, you think it's going to be the book?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I have a whole a couple years ago, I invested pretty heavily in a public speaking course. Called Heroic Public Speaking, and I flew out to Jersey and I took this 6-month course because I really feel strongly that this information and my personal mission is to help brands and leaders achieve clarity so that they can make an impact in the world. And that to me is very limiting inside the 4 walls of my business. And so the book that I'm writing tied in with more of a speaking kind of component, I think will allow me to share more information with the world in a way that makes a ripple effect beyond what I can do inside a business that will always be small. So
Big picture thinker.
yeah.
Love it. Could
Yeah,
you give the audience listening to this podcast right now a sneak peek?
Of
What like of the book? Not even like, you know, just is there like a
An excerpt. That's what we got.
can you give us a Cliff Note version? If you don't have, I'm sorry to put you in a spot. You don't have to. You guys will have to wait for that actually when the book comes out. So
Yeah, I'm talking about it, but in very selective environments because I'm
Like
still
a
working
podcast
through
that
it.
anyone can listen to. Just
You're
like-
right,
Yeah.
but I'd love to come back when it's ready and talk to you all about it.
all right, we'll do it then. Oh man, this was I think one of the best episodes I've been a part of.
Yeah,
Thank you. I
agree.
Let's wrap this episode up with some this or that. Like I said, we don't have these questions. Ben would usually come up with these questions, but John just wouldn't follow the rules. And
Yeah,
read
it's
them.
on us now. Yeah.
Let's put us on the spot. So, what part of Cleveland are you for? Like general
South Side.
South Side?
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. If you're gonna take your family out to dinner anywhere in the area, what's like the go-to? It doesn't need to be like fancy. What's like the go-to spot?
Any restaurant owned by Doug Katz.
Mm.
So Amba is our current favorite, but we'll go anywhere that Doug Katz goes.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Never been there.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Kiln is another one that's in Van Aken District. I should say my husband's restaurant, which is Boom's Pizza.
Boom's Pizza.
Where is
And
Booms?
I hope that you guys get to talk to him because you'll really
Oh,
enjoy
yeah,
that
right.
conversation.
Because he also has Spice.
Spice
Catering.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Let's go.
And
Yeah.
Spice is right next to
Yeah.
Ilya's restaurant. Ilya's businesses. Yeah.
Mhm.
He was just down here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I actually lived right by Van A. I just moved off of. I lived right next to John Carroll for like 4 or 5 years.
Oh, cool.
My
Great
wife works in-
neighborhood.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Phenomenal neighborhood. I mean, this is our first home, like right off Fenwick, right there.
Mm-hmm.
So I can never. A lot of good memories there.
Totally.
But my go-to spot was Fairmount.
Oh,
I go
yeah.
to Fairmount. They
Because
have those buffalo chicken boneless wings.
Mm-hmm.
what's Doug's restaurant over there? It's right,
Kiln.
and he has another one right over there. It's just like Amba, but it's right.
Yeah, the other one.
Yeah. But he has one right over there too.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
You know, of
Yeah.
course.
The cocktail list is.
Oh yeah, Zug.
Oh, Zug.
Zug,
Yeah,
yes.
that's what it is. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I have.
Thank
I
you,
have
Jamie.
Not been there. Say thanks, Jamie. But yeah. All right, John, you're up.
Yeah. We agreed in the beginning that was my question. I think favorite project or business that you've worked on.
Oh, they're all my baby. A career favorite of mine, it actually is the project that turned me from a traditional marketer into a content marketer. I worked with GE Lighting at one point on marketing their LED bulbs for Earth Day. And historically, they had spent a lot of money just blanketing the nation with coupons and USA Today ads and all kinds of things to like buy LEDs for Earth Day. We convinced them to reallocate that spend into a set of like educational videos that is like, okay, why should you buy energy efficient lighting? And we tied it in with an incentive that said, if you watch this video, for every person that watches this video, we are going to make a donation to a school and build out curriculum to help students understand energy efficiency.
Wow.
And so it actually, they got so much press for it. We tied it in with this cool like garden initiative. We called it Project Plant a Bulb. And the client, it was unbelievable the amount of visibility and impressions that they got out of that content marketing campaign versus a traditional advertising campaign. Unfortunately, the client got promoted almost immediately, and we lost the client.
Yeah, sure.
But like after that, like that was my foray into content marketing, and I haven't looked back since. I do believe in the power of storytelling to sell.
Clearly.
I think it's awesome that we have these technologies to do that, and so GE Project Plant a Bulb. So I think my favorite.
Earth Day. Is Earth Day on your birthday, John?
Yep.
Is it?
April 22nd.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
What a great thing to celebrate.
The real gift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
John Day. But okay.
Z Day.
Are you a Cleveland sports fan by chance?
No.
You like sports?
No.
Okay.
Boom. Next question. This or that, not sports.
Wow. Okay. Which would you rather go to, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or the Art Gallery in Cleveland?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think the art gallery, only because every time I walk in that building, I am just in awe of the atrium and the beauty, and they just that is one of the best art galleries in the country, like rated, not just my opinion. And the installations that they bring in are just pretty stellar.
Did you by chance check out the Picasso stuff they just brought in last week?
No, I haven't had a chance.
One of
I've been there twice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of our
amazing.
director of product.
Yeah.
He went and said it was incredible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he
It's
was
like the
blown
most
away.
Picasso paintings and artwork together ever
Yeah.
from different museums, from private people that own. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I've never been there before. I'm like a 0 on the eye, so I can't even see
I can't even see art.
Yeah, I don't understand art, to be honest. I
Yeah.
mean, I liked Andy Warhol. You know,
Oh, yeah.
I liked his stuff.
Sure.
But you know, I'm really into rock and roll,
Mhm.
70s and 80s. I love it. So I'd probably
Yeah.
spend my day at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a tough choice, really. So
Are you a morning person, night person? Would you rather work in the morning, work at night?
you know, it's interesting. That has changed for me over my adult life. In my 20s, I was such a night owl and I would work from like second shift, or third shift, actually. I would work, my best writing was between 8 p.m. and 2 a.m.
Wow.
And then now my best writing and my best time is between 5:30 a.m. and 8:30 a.m.
Yep. I'm the
It's
same
crazy.
way. Used to be, never could, always wanted to sleep in.
Yeah.
Mom's dragging me out of bed I would get to school with like 1 minute to spare every day.
Yeah.
And now I have my most energy at 5 a.m.
I think that's all teenage boys, frankly. I have one at home and yeah.
Yep.
So
Okay, this is going to be a prerequisite. Are you a TV show person?
Mhm.
Okay, awesome. What's your go-to show out right now? Please say Severance.
no, it's not.
Come on, no one watches
it's,
Severance.
The Righteous Gemstones, actually. It's just the new season just came out and we're very excited about it.
Okay,
So
I've never seen that
I've
one.
never seen it either.
yeah. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Righteous Gemstones.
The Righteous Gemstones. It's a whole sort of mock story around sort of this family that a mega church family.
Mm.
So
Oh, that'd be
Nice.
interesting.
That'd be kinda
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. The old state.
So-
You know, we had another founder on here, Ryan Schreiber, who founded Streamline, where
Mm-hmm.
it's like you can actually, you know, it's like a social media, but for you know content like video, sports. You know, what streaming service is this on?
that yeah, HBO.
Okay, cool.
Max
why
or whatever
That's
they
why
call
you go to Streamline.
Yeah, because Streamline,
They'll tell you where it is.
I could watch the Jackie
Oh.
playlist to see like what you're actually watching on.
Yeah.
Every single night, I feel like I'm on. Is that on Prime? Is it on
Yep.
Hulu? Where am I going here?
Yeah.
We literally
Yeah.
had
His
a guy on
product's
here.
awesome.
We had a guy
Yeah.
on here to talk. He's developing a kick-ass product that's
Yeah.
solving this problem.
He's in Cleveland.
That's awesome.
It's going to save us
Yeah.
time. Yeah, he's actually in Cleveland.
He would be a good guy for you to actually talk to
Cool.
Yeah.
for
Yeah, they're venture
actual
backed.
work.
So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Man, I was hoping for Severance. I'm obsessed with that show right now.
Yeah.
I don't know why either.
I've heard a lot of people tell me that.
I'm like a sci-fi guy. I like
Yeah.
sci-fi stuff. So
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm good on this or that.
All right.
I think it's a great episode.
yeah, I really enjoyed that conversation, Jackie. If you know, if the listeners out there, where can they find Muse or you? Or like, are you on LinkedIn? Obviously, a website. Like, where can people find you guys at?
Sure. So my LinkedIn page and then museheadquarters.com is our website. And then we're also on Instagram at the same handle.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Easy enough.
Look forward to following the journey, and using you guys as well. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. It's
Thanks,
great.
Jackie. Of
All right.
course.
that's a wrap, Ben.